So good morning, Simon. Good morning, Tim from Bridge Technologies. So Simon Frostad is the chairman of Bridge Technologies, and Tim is the communication director of Bridge Technologies. Is that right?
That's good enough for today. Good morning, Fiorenza.
You've got a promotion.
Exactly.
Right. Well, we are welcoming both to our first edition of Xpresso Live, Tech Talks with Aroma.
Oh yes, absolutely. And we have brought out our fantastic espresso just for the occasion.
Well, you see, okay, great.
We're ready.
I love this. Yeah, it's already a good debut because I know that we share that passion for aroma, for espresso, and for adrenaline. Let's put it this way, right? So I would like to start talking about, really celebrating 15 years of business relationship and partnership.
Oh yes.
And it all started 16 years ago at NAB show.
That is very true. And that was where we first met.
Sorry, Tim. Back then, you weren't there with us. But what happened was that a common friend of ours, I won't mention his name, but you know exactly who I'm talking about, suggested that I should meet Simen Frostad. And I said, oh, really? Yeah, I think, he might need your services. I said, okay. So then he took me to the booth and, there we walked to your stand, we shook hands, normal stuff. And I recall, I thought, wow, he's a tall guy and great, full of energy.
Thank you, Fiorenza.
And, it was very quick because then you said, okay, yeah, I don't know exactly what you're doing, Fiorenza, but, if you want to pitch your services, you have 5 minutes. Oh, all right. So then, in fact, I did manage to give you a 5 minutes pitch. And at the end, you smiled, we shook hands, and you said, we've got a deal.
Well, that is the point that, 5 minutes led to 15 years. That's, quite extraordinary.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, that has been extraordinary. And from that on, we started together on a path of experimenting, innovating, even on the communication side, not only on the technology side. And it has been great. Right. So
Absolutely.
I'm really, grateful for that. And I've always, as you know, admired your leadership, your drive, your always being so open to anything new.
We are blushing on this end, Fiorenza, so we need some color correction.
Well, you are, obviously. You're getting the comments. So, I'm sitting listening.
No, but Tim, it's largely to your great work as well, and
Yes.
just to emphasize some of the most important things, because communications is all about trust, and communication first. If you going to have a communication partner, you obviously have to trust that partner, because establishing trust to potential customers, potential technology partners, and to the world in general is quite a hard thing, because obviously the first rule is you cannot lie. and it seems obvious, but it's pretty important, because it will tear down that trust very, very fast. And also, you cannot exaggerate too much. You can always be, friendly when it comes to stuff, but you should never, do things that isn't factual. And that's the basic kind of fundamentals when it comes to communication. And that, I believe, also explain why we have been in Xpresso's great care, and you particularly, for 15 years, because this has to do with this long-term ability to project the trust that we hope to be projected. But it first starts with our communication, and especially now you and Tim's communication.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. which takes me, thanks a lot, Simen. I totally agree about the trust, and that's, crucial. Also in your business, in my business, in my relationships, is crucial. That's it. So, Tim, you will be involved now. Let's see if we can go back to 8 years ago, and you walked in a pub in London, and it was at the end of TV Connect show.
Yep.
After a long day, you walked in a pub and you saw me sitting at a small table with Simen, and you joined another table with friends. Do you recall that?
Yes, on the 1 or 2 pub visits that I've had, yes, I do remember the second one. That's right.
Let's say the famous pub where, the real one where everybody would go there.
Absolutely.
After the show and stuff. Right. And it was between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. Right? So at that point, probably you didn't realize, but something important was happening. And at that point in time, I was sharing with Simen my idea, my concept about starting a business in order to humanize PR and communications within the technology-driven business. And he gave me so much confidence that actually started being Xpresso Communication. That was in May or something. Yeah. And then on the 1st of June, I founded Xpresso Communications, thanks to Bridge support. And then from then on, it has been a long path.
Yeah, what a great story.
I was wondering, Tim, if you recall that, because only later, back then, I didn't know that you would become such a big asset, within our team.
I don't think anybody did. I don't think anybody did.
And when I thought about it, I thought, wow, it was already announced.
I wasn't actually privy to that on the night. So I do remember this night well, but I think, I didn't really connect. But then I've heard the story many times afterwards, and it is a really great story. And from 2004, having 4 years of building the relationship up, and then basically getting to 2008 and taking it, one step further. I think that's also crucial in communications, is growing the relationship and solidifying things and making sure that you're always doing new things. You're not just doing a press release here and there, and it's it's just the standard thing. I think that's what Xpresso and Bridge do really well, is to push the boundaries and explore. And I think from 2008, it's just gone on from there.
Yeah, because back then already, we realized that the communications within, a technology-driven industry was actually changing. The landscape was changing. The press was changing. The digital communication was changing. New algorithms were added. And so then we realized that we were talking about a new ecosystem. And, a press release, communicating by just a press release, addressing the trade press wouldn't be enough.
No, but think about it, Firenza, because...
Go ahead, sorry, Simen.
As you said, the press release was mainly something that flourished quite well when there was tangible magazines where you had, paper in your hand. And of course, the papers could not convey all the rich form of communication that you can do in certain degrees with, let's say, video presentations, with other means of actually getting the message out there. And that also means that it had to be kind of short. We had also a lot of success, remember, with long stories, which is one of the key things I remember very, very well, when we started to give nice, longer, multi-page stories about customer experiences and why we really wanted to do some of these technologies.
And with a certain language that worked as well.
Yes.
Bridge language, a way of telling stories.
Very, very true. Because again, as you said, to personalize it and to make it more humane, not only geeky technical, even though we kind of like geeky technical as well. But
of course. course.
but
Of course.
not dominating. So it went from, as you say, a press release driven kind of medium towards a more storytelling medium. And I believe that is the biggest transformation that's been happening. And I feel that we can also communicate much better and with much more precision than the very, very limited ability of a press release, even though we are doing a lot of press releases.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is I think, not to transport ourselves from 2008 to now, but the press release is still crucial to keeping our, that's our corporate, or that's our launch of products, or the cornerstone of how we sort of present our message out there. Amongst other things, but the press release is still very important for that. Then if you build social into that, or blogs, or these things, then you can have that more personal approach. But the press release is still that announcement to the to the industry that we have something serious that we want
because
to communicate.
I totally agree with you, and I'm glad we are always on the same page, and we have seen that produces good results, having created this ecosystem. But also because suddenly we realized that the decision makers have changed. Not all the decision makers are tech savvy.
No.
And even if we, love technology, we also have to think, address different audiences. Yeah. And that's why, we decided to create this new communications, really having all kinds of aspects, the technology one, but also in a way it's approachable. So we communicate technology in an approachable way for everybody. And if somebody, an engineer wants to have a more detailed tech specs, well, our colleagues can always, follow up on that.
Yeah, it's finding that balance, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, balance. Yeah, that's the good word. Yeah, absolutely.
And also, as you start talking about this, it's a lot about the media richness. You need to do. This is not a pun, multimedia, basically, but you need to diversify into all this, but it still has to be the same coherent message that is tailored for each individual type of communication, but with the same kind of angle and the same, let's say, more richer type of content. And I believe that some of the success factor has been in this humanizing the communication, so trying to talk specifically to the human factor in the other end than just conveying the technical facts, which is interesting-ish, but it doesn't convey all the richness of how we create our products, why we're doing the things we're doing, and what type of benefit that could potentially be drawn from something like a device, a product, a function, and that is, I believe, one of the things that has matured dramatically during the 15 years we've been together in getting the message out.
And I mean, the code is there, and the quality of the product is there. The engineers do a fantastic job at bringing products out, and so that's the basis of BridgeTech. But also, I think the best part of it is that we are who we are. We don't try and be anybody else. We don't try and follow anybody else. We have our own persona and our own way of doing business, and that's much more personal, approachable in some respects. But it's based on that really great core engineering behind the company, so then we can have fun and be ourselves otherwise.
I don't think we'll be lasting 15 years if the products was not well made. So
Exactly.
You're right. It's one of the fundamentals.
Yeah, well, especially if you think about, Simen, the fact that we have been busy for 15 years in supporting people towards IP. Yeah. Now, finally, the industry is embracing IP, but it wasn't like that 15 years ago.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, and some of us started with IP and IP huge scale networks 25 plus years ago, and it was very obvious that the only solution was to actually go to an IP based platform because it enables so much more, and You know, IP as a technology is pretty boring, kind of, because it's a transport, but because of its abilities, it can then embrace everything. And the cool thing is that at the same time as the broadcast environment now suddenly, after 25 years, are starting to embrace IP, communications platforms has been IP for a longer time, much longer time,
Yeah.
and proven its invaluability when it comes to delivering then again richer type of message across. And it's interesting. It took a while, but of course now it is unstoppable. And I believe also we will see a lot more of dramatic change in the whole industry because of the IPification that we've seen. And that means that, again, a lot of these new types of communication within the professional broadcast industry will also be very valuable in our ability to communicate in the very, very near future.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, you know, of course, we are all hearing and behaving in a remote mode.
Yes.
And of course, IP allows that, right? So that's my link. And we have seen that, for example, in the broadcast industry, the driving force, for remote production is specifically dedicated to sports.
Yeah.
So, of course, we have seen a lot of case studies from Australia, from all the rest of the world, about using the monitoring and analytics capabilities of Bridge Technologies solutions dedicated exactly for sports production. And how do you see that? I mean, of course, you were ready for that, but do you see it as the main kind of application for a while, or how do you see it, Simen?
Well, there is a lot of mega trends going on that is not totally visible on the surface. And one thing is, of course, the IPification in itself that I just talked about. That enables so much more. And at the same time we're doing IP, we are in the broadcast community as a total, the whole industry, we're trying to do more with less. That means basically less equipment and less, let's say, less complexity for the creative user. The technology is actually more complex, but it enables users to be more free, to don't have to have a degree in engineering just to be able to utilize a lot of these technologies. And that means simplifying it for the individual user and the creatives in our industry. And less with or more with less equipment means that from only test and measurement, we have the last years borderlined pretty significantly into neighboring, let's say, industries within our broadcast community. Let's say like visualization. So that because our abilities to display physical moving imagery and audio with very, very close to no latency at all enables the use of this for remote production in a completely different way. Then suddenly the test and measurement is not the first and foremost priority, but accessing the full motion media to be able to do real-time decision making then suddenly becomes the major reason to have the equipment in the first place. And that's very, very interesting. And that means also that we can, of course, technology-wise, just give me a minute, is to expand that with the help of these wonderful widgets that we've been marketing now for quite some time into creating multi-viewers, huge mosaics, everything remotely accessible. And I just want to spin back and say that, that has been quite a challenge if we go back and talk about both marketing and PR. Because suddenly you go from marketing a pretty vertical company, which is about test and measurement and analytics, into a much, much broader type of company which can solve much of the problems or let's say challenges when it comes to new types of doing business in the broadcast world, especially with the centralization of equipment, distributed type of productions, and of course remote production. So I think that being able to work, especially with you and Xpresso, to widen that scope of what we actually market, how we market it, because we then have to market it to a different set of people, not our usual kind of subset of test and measurement.
Yeah, but also I think we also don't forget, and that's something that you're good at, Fiorenza, is that we don't forget that a signal comes from many sources, and we talk about IP now, and that's the buzz thing or remote production and things like that. But I mean, a signal could come still from a satellite.
Oh yeah.
Terrestrial still there.
Yeah.
So having that background over the past 15, 16 years to understand that when you're going over IP, there's still a whole lot of stuff at the start of that process. So we can,
Yeah, it's all about, as you said, a mix of technologies, because a lot of the technologies are not going away anytime soon. Satellites will still be flying, and it's invaluable for long distance traversing of signals. Terrestrial networks is going to be there forever and ever and ever. And of course, cable, even though it's in decline, is not going away anytime soon. And that means that also, think about what we actually market all the time.
Yeah.
We need to actually market the whole spectrum of broadcast television, and that's quite a spectrum.
Yeah, it's huge, and especially it's already a complexity per se.
Yes.
If you talk about the whole spectrum, right? Different standards, different situations. So, and you are within the complexity of packets and stuff, you are always trying to visualize or find a way to visualize the complexity in a very simple way, because it has to be approachable and understandable by everybody. That's the thing.
Very, very true.
It's very interesting. Yeah.
I believe so, and as you say, we are targeting a different, and that's not only for the broadcast industry, it goes kind of as a global phenomenon that, again, decision makers are moving out from their kind of silos into more broader understanding. So they may not have the expertise necessary to get all the targeted PR and marketing when it comes to the engineering part. We need to be able to explain exactly the benefit, and then, of course, to a much wider audience than ever before. And I'm very happy to say that, I think that on most part we're getting pretty good at it, thanks to you, Fiorenza.
We have support department, we have manuals, we have the whole engineering department who you can access as well, but then we also have the Bridge Show, we have our Christmas calendar,
exactly.
We have our blogs. Please. I mean, we try and cater for all these things, but if you need the deep dive, then of course we have that as
exactly.
well.
You are introducing a great topic, the Bridge Show. Well, actually, you guys decided, again, once more, to be creative, to be different, and instead of follow the...
I have to say, this is Simen's idea.
Exactly. Both of you, the big trend of online webinars, 1 hour solo talk, you decided, no, okay, we are going to do our own stuff. And, and so you created the Bridge Show. So you set up an IP-based production studio in Oslo. And even, the staff, your colleagues became a production crew.
Yeah, and that's pretty good, because the key thing is that if we do not experience a lot of the real world complexities by ourselves, it's very, very difficult to put yourselves into the customer's shoes. And I heard from our dear friends in Grass Valley, they had a great expression that you better eat your own dog food, and it's actually a pretty good expression, because if you don't live by the same rules as what you're trying to actually project and then finally to sell and market, well, you run the risk of being disconnected from who you actually are targeting. And I'm very happy to say that, you know, we had a decent, I say very, very big success with the ability for us to understand the television medium better, and also that, you know, the truly incredible staff of Tim and the marketing
Doing
department
more
to
with
manage.
less, Firenze. I think that's,
That's very true.
Yeah. But just learning all the equipment, you know, the picture switching, the you know, everything that goes involved in making a production. When we talk to customers, then, you know, we can talk to them in a real way, not just you know,
Precisely.
you know what is happening. The other thing I want to point out is
so
that
it has been beneficial for the viewers, but also internally, because it's like being upgraded, you know, to a different world where, okay, I get to see how the stuff works and how our customers have to work.
Yeah. And that's a very
our
serious point, because, you know, to get our productions, and they're only small, but to get them over the line, there's so many different, you know, things to look at and improve on. And from week to week, you know, we're always bettering ourselves, but you're always finding out lots of stuff. And I think when we're trying to mention what we do and our products and our messaging, then if we're having fun doing it, then I think that comes across better to our customers and our business partners. If we believe in it and we're having fun doing it, then it should be about that. And I think the Bridge Show has brought that element.
And I want to bring up one more thing, and that has to do with, you know, we use Zoom, Teams, Skype. I mean, there's a plethora of different platforms, and all these are pretty well. But, you know, we stopped using too much PowerPoint a while back, because death by PowerPoint is a kind of a known term, and it does not any longer convey everything that we need to do. We need actually more humanized communication, which is not that static. And we feel that there's a lot of meeting fatigue, or especially remote meeting fatigue in the business, or in the whole global business, because everybody needs to do this right now. And we feel that trying at least to experiment with different formats has been very beneficial for us. I believe that more companies can do that with great benefit.
Yeah. So if I may summarize, in fact, you did create a new narrative which is communicating, you know, in a candid way what you are doing, what you want to talk about. You involved business partners, you involved specialists, you involved anybody who had been in touch with Bridge Technologies for a different reason. And therefore, I would say, it's a new narrative. And the new narrative is now proceeding even with the Christmas calendar.
Yes.
Right? Well, I must say, Tim, I enjoyed your performance, you know, with Axel. I mean...
Thank you. It was, Bridgeman.
Are you still surveying OTT?
Well, you know, we got a lot of good answers out on the street there. A lot of people knew what they were talking about. So obviously our industry is using language that, you know, is for everybody.
Well, you never know.
Yep.
It's also educational.
Yeah. No, exactly. Now I might add the Christmas calendars. You can watch them every day at 9 o'clock, 9 a.m. on the Bridge Technologies YouTube channel, and that's my little PR point.
Yeah, exactly. Bridge Technologies YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Now that's good. So in fact, live and recorded. So I think it's great fun, and I thank you for this initiative, because, you know, again, behind the whole thing, it's a lot of creativity, and I think, you know, you guys both are working at that level fantastically. Yes.
No, I would agree with that. We make a good team, and
we have the real experts here, so we're very happy.
So I guess Simen, you knew already in that pub when we saw him coming in that he would, you know, create something extraordinary in terms of the Bridge Show and performing and having fun and something remarkable. Yeah, I think.
Work to your strengths.
It's very important because you know the world is full of content. It's full of communication. It's full of information, good or bad or whatever. But it's full of a lot of noise. And the only way to break through any form of noise is with something of consequence. If it's inconsequential, it has no meaning, and it should actually be, it shouldn't be there, but there's a lot of it. So we have to make, or try at least to make, and this goes not only for the ability to do marketing and PR work together with you, it goes for also our products and who we are and what we want to do. If we just make the same as everybody else, you know, a Me Too kind of product, it wouldn't have that kind of impact. So we have to make something of consequence, something that is truly, at least parts of it, truly unique. Then it will actually have some meaning for the end user. And we try, I've always tried for the last 15 years to do the same when it comes to the PRs and the marketing, because that is truly, I believe, who we are.
Yeah, just the language used and the analogies used are fun. The other thing about the Christmas calendars, there is actually a serious point behind it, and there's a lot of fun involved and a lot of play on words and things like that. But it is to say, after a very long year, use December to bring a bit of a smile to people's faces, but also our business partners who obviously do a great amount of work, because we're all one big team, our business partners and you guys at Xpresso, to say thank you. But also hidden in there are some little gem tips about our new software release and our products, but it's all wrapped up in that way of having, you know, let's have fun. We're in a creative industry, so there's no reason why we can't have fun doing it.
Yes, I love that. And with this nice message about being creative in a narrative, which is beneficial to many.
Yeah.
We are going to wish everybody, Merry Christmas in a while. But however, I'm going to thank you both for being here, and till next time.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Bye.